things to take. And so I just wanted everyone to know that. I hope you are able to find someone to do the recording on chat through private message of newcomers, so they don't have to publish their contact information publicly. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for doing that for all that time, Chelsea. Second of all, that's a reminder to us that you need to send a message to Chelsea now stating that you're here today, right?
That's right.
And finally, Chelsea, we do have an agenda item and we may have a recorder.
Oh, good. Excellent.
Stefan.
Yes, I think I've mentioned this before, but I will be resigning from the board and from being secretary effective the end of February, correct. I'll do the February meeting minutes, but then after that, I'm going to be resigning. I've gotten appointed to the Lane County Charter Review Committee, and I think that's going to be pretty time consuming, and so I'm going to withdraw from RRCO.
Well, Stefan, thank you for your service as well. We do have an item to talk about that issue of filling vacancies later in the meeting as well. And congratulations on being on the Charter Committee.
I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse, but we'll see.
Fix it so that we don't get to vote for our county commissioner, as we weren't able to this last November.
Yes, well, that was thanks to county council, and I suspect it was not an accident.
Okay, just a second, this is Claire. Any other announcements? I'm going to go offline for just a second.
Well, John, while John's offline and talking to Claire, let's go around and let people know who's here, just because we have a visitor tonight, and so that would be really helpful to her. I'm Brenda. I'm a board member that's been here about 6 months, and I live on Oakley Lane.
Nancy,
Charles.
why don't you introduce yourself before the rest of us did?
Great. Thanks for having me. Bren let me know about this meeting. My name is Nancy Buffum, and I also live on Oakley Lane, and I am a new resident of the River Road community.
Thank you. Our policy as a board is normally only the board speaks during the meeting, just so you're aware, but we do make exceptions for important reasons, which we may have one tonight. Okay, I'm John Belcher, co-chair. I'm living off of Arbor, and I've been in the neighborhood for 11 years now. Jan?
My name's Jan Spencer, and I live on Benjamin, and lived in the neighborhood 22 years. So thanks for joining us, Nancy.
Indeed. Susan?
Hi, Susan Kittleson, and I live on LK Drive, and I've lived in the neighborhood for just over a year and been on the board for almost a year.
Stefan?
I'm Stefan Ostrak, currently still secretary of the board, and I've lived on Mayfair Lane since 1979.
Misty, you knew I was coming.
Hi, I'm Misty, and I live off of Corliss Lane for, I've lost count, 6 years.
Great. Daniel? Dan?
Hi, I'm Dan Isaacson, board member. I've been on River Road for 3 years. I'm actually at Best Buy trying to get my laptop fixed because my son stepped on my screen and broke it. So I'm here, but listening.
Ouch. Well, let's see, our other guests. Let's go with Jackie.
Hey, I'm Jackie Worster. I'm off of Jane Street, off the Hilliard. Been in the neighborhood almost 8 years, and I'm the chair of the Emergency Preparedness Committee.
And last but certainly not least, Chelsea.
Hi, I'm Charles C. Cartwright. I live on Norman Avenue. I've been in the neighborhood for 3 years and I work closely with Jackie on emergency preparedness.
Well, welcome, everybody.
Do we not also have Claire on the speakerphone? She's
Oh,
here.
I'm sorry. Claire, please introduce yourself.
I'm calling in from Colorado, and I am the co-chair for the Bellhorn Lane.
Can you hear her? Okay, good deal. Sorry, Claire. Okay, on to item number 2, approve consent calendar, which is a vote. So the way this works is you probably know, we can either approve the all the items on the consent calendar. There are 4 motions this time. Or if anyone wants to remove any of them for further discussion before voting, now is the time to say, I'd like to remove item number 73. So I see nobody asking to remove any. So would someone like make a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Okay, Dan has moved and it looks like Jan has seconded to approve.
I had more of a question.
Okay,
It's just quick. You and I had spoken a couple days ago, John, about the documentary on the Greenway. Is that in the consent calendar?
yes, that's number 4. If you had read it, it would say approve adding link to YouTube Greenway slideshow to RRCO website.
That has been approved.
Not yet. We need a second and then we vote.
I'll second it. This is Susan.
Thank you, Susan.
Okay,
Now, all
Thanks,
those in
Susan.
favor, please put up a green dot from the reaction section.
I'm abstaining.
Claire is abstaining. But everyone else, Stefan? You're muted, sir. So Stefan, either unmute or put a green or red dot up. Okay, good deal. So with 1 abstention, the vote is unanimous. The abstention is Claire's. Thank you, everybody. Emergency Preparedness Committee update, Jackie Worster, and we're right on time.
Awesome. Thank you, John. So I just wanted to come in tonight and give a little update on how things went for the committee last year and kind of what we have on the agenda coming up for 2023. The Emergency Preparedness Committee has partnered very closely with the Bethel neighborhood and the Santa Clara neighborhood in order to kind of keep our participation going. And we all face very similar geographical, community impacts to all of, because we're so close together on the map. So we've all been working very closely together to kind of keep these conversations going. We've been able to make really big progress on the committee goals in the year of 2022. Some of those accomplishments are, we talked about winter power outages with the City of Eugene's Emergency Management Department. We talked about air quality in Northwest Eugene with LRRCO, the Lane County Air Protection Agency. We had the Eugene Springfield Fire Marshal out to talk to us about fire behavior and defensible space in our area. We talked about summer power outages and extreme heat. We also had quite a few in-person tabling events where we got to hand out brochures and we created some literature together to try to spread the word to more neighbors. We had multiple Zoom conversations, just informal, with our neighbors about what they were up to and their preparedness efforts. And we also had the really big dam safety and inundation presentation from the U.S. Army Corps. That has gotten a lot of conversation and attention recently. I think, Charles, you just shared that with the board today, that that conversation is now making it to our city councilors to hopefully put some pressure on the emergency management department, and we want to keep that progress moving forward. And then this year, we also held a virtual evacuation exercise for a chlorine gas leak at the rail yard here in Northwest Eugene to alert everybody about evacuation, alerts and some local hazards in the area. So as we were kind of reflecting on last year, it was impressive the things that we were able to come up with just in that year, especially because this was all really organized by just a couple of neighbors, really only 2 neighbors from the River Road neighborhood consistently attend and do any of this work. So I was pretty impressed with the stuff that we were able to accomplish last year. So that was exciting. I also wanted to share an update that I was invited to participate on a Department of Environmental Quality Committee for the state of Oregon. We had a couple of meetings. We started in December of last year, I think it was. And the purpose of it is there's a Senate bill that was passed that gives the Department of Environmental Quality the authority to develop a program to assess the vulnerability of fuel tank storage, which we happen to have a very large fuel tank storage here in the River Road kind of prairie area. And it's facilities that manage over 2 million gallons of fuel. So there is a lot of fuel sitting on the rail yard very close to our neighborhood. And there aren't really a lot of standards that they have to have their equipment set to. So this committee is kind of developing guidance on the assessment of their facilities that they have and recommendations on upgrades and seismic improvements and stuff that they have to make. The committee is made up of a variety of people. There are seismic engineers, there are people that run fuel companies. Randy Groves, our city councilor, sits on the committee as well. And these meetings are always open to the public. So I definitely invite everybody who's watching this recording and here tonight to join us in those conversations. They want to hear all of the feedback from the neighbors and the impacts and the thoughts that you all have. So feel free to reach out to me if you have more thoughts or questions about that. Just checking my list here. And this is really just to provide an update. So I want to leave a couple of minutes for questions too, but I just want to check off. Looking ahead at 2023, we have really made good progress in identifying what the hazards are for the River Road neighborhood in Northwest Eugene, but now we need to take action and we need some help encouraging our neighbors. I know you all know how hard it is to get people to participate and step up to volunteer for stuff. That definitely applies to our committee work as well. Getting people to step up to volunteer for specific tasks is definitely a challenge. So we're looking for advice on how to spread the word, how to keep that conversation going. We definitely know we want to create Map Your Neighborhood or block parties, immediate neighbor contact conversations. We want to establish some damage assessment teams, do some power outage practice events, some evacuation practice events. And we definitely can't continue at the pace that we've been continuing with just Charlesie and I managing most of this. So we're looking for feedback on how to make this keep going, how to encourage other people to participate. And another aspect of this is putting pressure on the city and the county to be open with the public about what their emergency plans are and how neighbors are truly responsible for themselves, but that isn't really advertised a lot. It's kind of hidden away in an emergency plan somewhere. And I do, Charlesie, is there anything that you want to add to this at the moment? Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, are there any, I have any questions or any feedback that anybody wants to give?
Susan.
Yeah, first of all, huge congratulations to y'all both. Y'all just done incredible work. It's really unbelievable, just the amount that y'all have been able to produce and just the work y'all have done is really impressive. So congratulations and thank you. I would love to do more on social media front. I'm driving the Instagram. I don't know who's leading on the Facebook side. I have a personal I'm not a big fan of Facebook, so I won't be on there. But I would love to be able to do more. Maybe we can potentially take some of the WANTAD ideas that we are using in the newsletter and try to perpetuate those as well. But if y'all have any suggestions or photographs that would be good for social media, you're welcome to send them my way. And I'm trying to, just keep the post going. I post on a regular basis weekly. We've gotten to a point where, many people in the city and the county are engaging with us on a regular basis. In fact, I met Lori Traeger today at the NAACP March and I said, oh yeah, I'm on RRCO. She goes, oh, I'm on your Instagram. And I'm like, I run the Instagram, woo! So I got to talk to her. That was kind of exciting. So would love to kind of help you with that.
Awesome, thanks, Susan.
Mhm.
I will echo what Susan said about our extreme pleasure with all you guys have done and we're going to continue to do, I'm sure. It's a very effective group. It's awe-inspiring. Others? Well, thank you, Jackie and Charlesy. Yes, Brenda.
I'm just trying to think of how to, in the next 2 months, we may have more people because it's election season. So some little, here's what we do, here's when we meet. One ad, as Susan was talking about, might be a place that people who are around would want to come and join you. Like, I'm just thinking there may be new people visiting.
Yeah, we definitely will try to continue getting our announcements into the RRCO newsletter. That newsletter a lot of times goes out after our meeting, or the content doesn't always make it fully into the newsletter correctly. So getting that effective communication out to the whole neighborhood has definitely been a challenge. But we will continue to try to send it and submit it everywhere that we can to get those announcements. Our upcoming meetings in February, we're going to be talking about Map Your Neighborhood and Neighborhood Watch and how those programs tie together. After that, we're hopefully going to be talking about some water storage and water treatment. And then we're also trying to gather some questions for the city and county emergency services departments to just try to bring the questions that the neighbors have to the emergency management departments to see what their answers are, try to get them on record with some of those things.
Yeah, I do want to just chime in on that last point. What came out of the map of the dam meeting and the flooding issue was a clear call for more information from our emergency services departments, and with city council now asking for that very clearly and the mayor promising that, I think this will be a big focus around April in our meeting. So if you have any questions that you want to forward to Jackie for us to pursue in that regard, that would be great.
Well, thank you. I suspect that there was some part with our program that made it to the council that perhaps made that change. Good deal. And as far as Facebook and Nextdoor are concerned, Claire and I are probably the two that are most involved with that. I know we are the ones who have the ownership of the Facebook page. So let us know, Jackie, and we'll get it in as well. With that, thank you very much. Really appreciate all you guys have done. And as I said, will do. Okay, on to item number 4.
John, before you go on, I was on mute and you didn't hear me. I just wanted to suggest that the committee work and projects that we have, I think we should start making posters to put up in the various housing developments in the neighborhood. And I don't know if Riversong wants to help get a poster up on their bulletin board, but there's also Iris Place, and it'd be good to do that kind of outreach as well.
So outreach posters at our housing centers. Okay, thank you. Did you guys all hear that? Okay. So item number 4, which is Claire's. Claire, do you want to try to do this from a speakerphone or shall I take it?
I don't have the screen, the agenda in front of me, so.
This is review previous general meeting.
Oh, go ahead and take it.
Okay, so this is 5 minutes we set aside to get feedback about what went well, what didn't go well, what we should have done, what we shouldn't have done at the last meeting. Does anyone have any comments? I noticed that our recording from YouTube is not up. Normally I would put the link there so you could go back and check it, but thoughts, concerns? Understood. Brenda?
I didn't hear what Claire said. Would you repeat it?
She said that Joshua had promised to do that in the past, so we need to check with him as to why the YouTubes are not up.
Okay. I appreciated the work that you and Julie did. I heard two, if not more, people saying as they were asking you questions for talking points, which I had asked for in a simple way beforehand. And I just want to keep encouraging us when we're doing this technical stuff to get it simplified and clear. I didn't know till Tuesday. I know I'm stupid and I just missed it, but I did not know until Tuesday at the county meeting that this was really about new build on the Greenway, because all I'd heard us talk about was let's be protective of the Greenway. So I didn't understand until I heard the county talking. This was about creating code to help new builds, which was really helpful to understand.
Well, I'm sorry, but first of all, it was a city planning commission meeting, not a county meeting.
Excuse
And
me.
second of all, it's about all development and redevelopment within the Greenway. So yes, it's about new development, and there are some 10 or 12 lots that are not theoretically developed. Half of those are undevelopable because they're like 200 or 1,000 square feet. But yeah, for us, it is primarily redevelopment, but it does affect development as well. Yeah, I was very surprised. We thought we gave everybody 9 talking points, but apparently what people want is give me a script I can put my name on and send into the city. And we didn't do that. Perhaps we should have included that as well. Stefan?
Yes, I would agree with that. And it did seem like it was a little bit too deep in the weeds and hard to follow for those of us who haven't been intimately engaged with the issue. So, and yeah, I mean, that's not meant as any kind of heavy criticism, but it
I
just,
understand.
I mean, it's at some points I was just sort of nodding off, well, not nodding off, but losing track and losing concentration.
Well, by having Julie with me, I had hoped we got it away from uber wonky John, but you know, I don't know how to balance those two. Give us talking points, but don't tell us what we need to talk about. I mean, that's the conundrum. If you want to give testimony, you have to say, I think this needs to change. And that was what was in the weeds. So we'll keep working on it. Thank you. Others? But I will share that with Julie too, although we both were surprised when we got the reaction we did. And we are thinking about it. Speaking of which, you have until Thursday, I believe, to submit testimony if you want to. Jan. You muted yourself, Jan. Jan, you just muted yourself.
Mute. Okay. I can appreciate the comments. I think, John, you know that it's kind of an arcane language there, and I know you know that. I thought you and Julie did really well, even though it was some kind of difficult, but I think maybe some of that stuff is a good opportunity for the listeners to challenge themselves to kind of try to understand it more too. I can just tune it right out. I need to pay more attention myself, you know, because it's not the kind of stuff that most of us have much experience with, but I thought you guys did well.
Yeah, that's the problem with land use in Oregon. Very quickly, we've got 50 years of laws, regulations from the agencies, land use decisions in the courts, and the code that's been written by the communities, and it's hard to work your way through all of it. So I understand. Brenda?
I just want to encourage, when we're working on something that's that complicated, we really have board members like Jan and I who would have looked ahead at the presentation and helped maybe condense it, say this was key and reshape it. We can work together ahead of time and not have and try to head that off the next time.
Okay, thank you for that.
And I thought Jan's piece was excellent, just really well done.
Indeed, yours too. your committees. Okay. Points well taken. Thank you. So let's talk
John?
about, yes, I'm sorry, Stephen.
This day, yeah,
Oh, Dan, sorry, thank you.
it's okay. That's right. I just wanted to say that I appreciate the letters that I did get on it, and I know that's a super wonky topic to begin with. It's really hard to muddle through it. As a planning commissioner, it's it's hard for us too. So if it's hard for us and we're spending hours on it, I can only imagine what it is for other folks. So I appreciate the letters and keep sending them.
Indeed. Just parenthetically, one of the testifiers at this hearing was quite a surprise. Our New County, now I'm doing City Commissioner Lindsay Leach came and testified, basically saying, go forth and do good things and listen to the neighborhood. And that's the first time I've ever heard a city councilor come in. I had a chance to talk to her today, and I suggested she check with the city attorney to make sure that type of testimony is okay. And she said, I did that, John. She is really sharp. So we're, in my opinion, we are well served by having her as our interim city council. Okay. Next, well, let's talk a little bit more about March. We voted last month, I believe it was, to use well, let me get started with the task first. We have 4 board members whose terms are expiring, and we also know that Stefan is not completing his term. So that gives us 5 vacancies if everybody were not, well, there's still 5 vacancies whether people choose to run or not. So in order for us to figure out what the task is before us, I am asking those of us, myself, Beth Giroux, Dan, Jan, and Claire, whether your intention is to run again. You don't have to answer that, but it would be helpful in our planning. And I will start off by saying, yes, I do plan to run for another term, but I'm thinking this will be my last. Claire.
Ditto.
That was a ditto if you didn't hear it. Beth Giroux said she hopes to run again. Dan, if I may ask.
Yeah, I intend to run again. Yes.
Okay. And Jan.
I would put myself on a reserve if there's need. I would. So I'm hoping we can find some new people, but that's kind of what I've been doing for a while. So that's what I would do. I would run if there was need for another person.
Thank you. I think that's how we got you this time, Jan. Good. Thank you, everybody. But nonetheless, just because we agree to run doesn't mean we'll get elected. So we do need to work our way through names to make sure that we have viable candidates, not even viable candidates. Are you going to try to do it?
Well, can people there, can everybody hear me when I'm talking like this?
I see Stefan shaking his head yes, and Susan.
Especially
Okay,
if you put the phone by the mic, John.
That's what I'm doing, Brenda.
Okay, so we all should know by now that recruiting board members is about personal relationships with people and asking people. We can announce it all we want in the email, but unless people are personally asked and have an opportunity to talk with someone about what does it entail and why do you do it, and is this a good way for me to be a service to the community, those kind of conversations, then we're not going to have people go forward. So in an effort to broaden the pool, I put up that spreadsheet of everybody who has who was a voting member of RRCO and everybody who has opened the past 5 newsletters. I figure those are pretty good indicators of engagement. I haven't checked that Google spreadsheet. Has it? I know that Beth was working on it. Does anybody else weighed in on whether or not you know those people?
Claire, it looks to me like only 2 people have participated.
That is not the case. It doesn't necessarily, just because your name's not in there doesn't mean you haven't participated. It just means
Okay.
you don't know those people that are on that list. So just to be
Well,
clear.
I see indications of 2 people responding.
Okay, so the idea, and maybe I'll just tell you what to do. The idea is to just scan down the list, and if you know someone's name, then indicate that you know them by putting your initial in the next column over. And if you're willing to talk to them and you think, or if you think there would be a good board member, indicate that in the next column over. It's would be a pretty quick thing. You probably don't know very many people on the list, but this is how we assess what does our network look like.
Okay.
Can I get a commitment from people to do that? I asked for that for this meeting, but maybe for our time is going to go short. We get, next meeting is February, and then that's 1 month before the elections.
Claire, if I can interrupt. First of all, what was I going to say? The other deadline is that if you want someone to consider running and they haven't attended a meeting in the past year, they will have to attend the February general meeting.
Or the board meeting.
Or the board meeting. Thank you, Brenda. And Brenda, you had your hand up.
Yeah, Claire, I'm confused about what you wanted. I thought, for example, I know Will Dixon. I don't think Will Dixon is a good candidate to be a board member. So if I put my name there, I sure wouldn't want you to think I was recommending him as a board member or promising to talk to him. So I don't.
I get what you're saying. If you see my notations, I wrote no on some of them.
So an N for someone you don't think should be a board member. And the challenge, Claire, is that there are no initials unless someone agrees to contact. So we don't know who's filled it out. I apologize for making that assumption.
What do you mean there's no initials?
You asked for a Y or an N.
Okay. I'm not looking at it, so it's hard for me to remember. So we'll just have to take, I don't know.
Claire, I can add a comment. I can add a column to it right now and say, do you know this person? And who knows this person? And we could put our names there. Does that help?
Sure.
Okay.
And I think we can assume that everybody who's going to will. So.
What?
I don't. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm not helping.
So I just want to know can you get a sense there of people in the virtual room about being willing to do that task in the next couple of days?
I've got my hand up.
Okay, Stefan.
Yeah, I'm concerned that using that list or talking to only people that we know means we're going to end up with people who look like us, namely white and older. And I think there needs to be a way to reach out to folks who aren't on that list and who aren't white, or we're going to just perpetuate.
Do you have a suggestion?
I don't, but I think it's important to do that.
My thinking was that this was just one of many strategies. The many strategies part, but fails right where you're talking right now. Short of stopping people of color on the street when I see them, I don't know how to break through that. But one of the things that we can do is when we talk to people that we know is tell them that we're trying to do that and who they know.
I'm going to throw myself in here. Maybe we need a recruitment committee. Dan?
That was going to be a suggestion I was going to have was, we maybe not a committee as much as maybe just an informational where we can either do a Zoom or in person. In person would be great for those who are willing to do so. But it would be great to invite prospective board members over to a central location or online or whatever, and have existing board members and past board members talk about what the experience is like, what the time commitment is, so that people have an interaction with not just the idea, but the real world on the street commitment. And then hopefully some of them make the jump.
Yeah, I had an idea like that too, Dan. I think that's good that we could do something at, you know, at the rec center or reality kitchen as a social event for old and prospective board members.
Dan, you want back in, or? I see your hand still up.
I didn't do. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Okay. Lots of ideas. What do you suggest we do?
Well, I would like to see what we have from that survey of participants in the community, you know, the list, and then have an ad hoc meeting of people, board members who want to strategize expanding the list and doing the social events, etc.
Yeah, I'm just scanning through it. There's probably at least 20 yeses.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I still think we need an ad hoc committee.
Yeah. So John and I are the ad hoc committee right now. Is anybody else interested?
Sure.
Who is that?
Dan,
Dan? Okay. That sounds great to me.
okay. The other challenge,
I'll be back on Friday and I'll set it up after that.
so the other half of this, Claire, is running the election.
Right. So have you talked to Joshua about it, or was that just an idea?
Yes, I did talk to Joshua. The
Okay.
challenge, folks, is that those of us who are running cannot participate in the election. Therefore, I asked Joshua Keelis, who helped us with the last election, if he would lead the task of running the election. And if you guys approve, he said he's willing to do that.
I move that Joshua run our election in March of 2023.
Yeah.
Is
If-
there a second?
I second that we ask Joshua and confirm that all the above. Yeah. And also, I'm happy to assist him. I think that for those of us that are on the
So
board, staying
Susan,
on
is
the
this a
board.
second?
Yeah, yes, I seconded
It's a
it.
modification also. She said, confirm with Joshua that he will.
I've
Right.
already said that he will.
Well,
It's already confirmed.
I confirmed it with Joshua, yes. So.
All right, second, no.
Sorry. Green or red dots, folks, and how do you vote, Claire?
Yes.
Misty, Dan, Brenda? I guess there we go. Unanimous, thank you. So Joshua will be contacting folks for help, I assume. And probably talking to you, Charlie, about getting the spreadsheet.
Well, wait, John, wait.
Yeah,
There's another volunteer coming forward to just pick up on the attendance. And I'm willing to meet with that person and transition the data work that Charlie has done for us to the new system. And then we can call up on Charlie for information as we need it.
okay, that sounds like a good idea. So let's wait till we get that person and then we can talk to that person and see if they're willing.
Okay.
Okay, anything else?
Not on that item.
Okay, drop your green dots, everybody. Any further questions or thoughts from the members of the board? Jan?
Yeah, I looked at that list and I definitely identified at least a couple of people. One in particular, if I think could make a good board member. Should I just identify that person on that spreadsheet, or should I suggest to that person they might consider? What should I do?
We have an ad hoc committee, myself, Claire, and Dan. Why don't you tell one of us at another
I
time?
put it on the spreadsheet first, Jan. And I don't think it's a problem if you reach out to them and feel them out.
Did you hear that, Jan?
No.
She said, I guess, put your initials on the spreadsheet, and then also she suggested you might want to reach out to them so they're aware of the possibility.
Okay, that's good.
Anything else? Okay, let's go on to item number 6, and we are 10 minutes behind, guys. Okay. The question is, do we want to propose changing our meeting dates from the second and third Mondays to a day that doesn't conflict with city council meetings? And also discuss whether we want to ask the membership if they wish to move to hybrid meetings. So let's take the first one, if I may. As we reminded ourselves with our new city councilor, we have a limited ability to meet with her or any other of our councilors, or any councilors for that matter, because our meeting dates coincide with city council meetings. It's been discussed in the past that this might be a good idea to change our meeting date. The only challenge I would raise is that although we're not taking advantage of it, we have a standing date on the second and third Mondays to meet in the annex. And I don't know exactly how busy the annex is, but I often see the lights on as I drive by in the evenings. We would have to find a way to either negotiate with the Parks District or find another venue if we were to change. But otherwise, what do you guys think? Brenda?
When does the city council meet? Every week? Every Monday
Every-
night?
Every Monday night, every Wednesday at noon at a work session. They also have a Monday work session at noon, but the only evening they meet usually is Monday night. And it is every Monday night unless they're on hiatus, which is the month of August and December.
For me, it would be a big challenge to change to a different night. I've carved my life around leaving this space for this community, for this commitment. If you change it, I may not be available.
Understood. And that'll be true for other members in the community as well. Others?
Yeah, this is Susan. I mean, I just struggle that we don't have representation at city council meetings, or, you know, our neighborhood, along with Whitaker and Train Song, had a change in city council, and we can't even go to those meetings and represent ourselves. I just think that it's really important, and I understand it'll change people's lives, and I also will have to make adjustments. But I just think for us to be the most effective we can be, it would be very advantageous for us to have at least one of our meetings moved. You know, maybe we keep general meeting on Mondays and move to our board meeting to the third Tuesday or whatever it may be, to try to limit that. But I would like to try to get some representation and, you know, a little bit more visibility with the council members at our meetings, et cetera. Thank you.
Yeah, and Susan, you alluded to the fact that not only can the city council not come to us, we can't go to city council meetings that one Monday a month as well, 2 Mondays a month.
So I think that's a good idea, Susan. I don't know if you all are aware, but we have talked to them, Annex, about scheduling a different day of the week, and they are very tightly booked. They don't really have another day that we could schedule. And they also have just invested in a lot of really nice hybrid meeting technology.
Susan?
One question I'd have is if we if we go a route of split where on, general sessions stay on Mondays where we can be at the annex and we need more space, would it instead be possible to look at some of the smaller spaces that we know we have access to for board meetings, which tend to be smaller in nature, such as where we had our meetings over at RRCO, not RRCO, at Iris Place, and or some other locations I know that have volunteered space. Something to consider.
Well, it sounds like more information is needed.
I've
should
had
there-
my hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Stefan.
Yeah. I mean, I think we need to remember that only a minority of us are represented are part of the city. So, and also, if we want to attend council meetings, there's still 2 or 3, depending on the month, that we could attend. And I think we should try to schedule our city councilor for the months that they're on hiatus, August and December, and try to nail them down to attend our meeting then. So I don't really see a big need to change meetings. I think we can still access city council on the Monday nights that we don't meet and schedule our city councilor. And then also, if there's something really important going on the agenda, we don't all need to attend all of our general and board meetings. Someone could decide to go to the city council instead of attending a board meeting or a general meeting.
This
Doesn't
has
seem like a
happened in
big
the past.
problem.
I would point out one piece of information, Stefan, and that is that the only time there are public hearings are at the evening meetings. So, and I'm not sure that they're both nights. I'd have to find out.
John, also, John and I have standing meetings with our city council representative for our neighborhood once a month.
But she really doesn't want to just meet with us.
I know, but it's still an access and communication exchange.
True. Jan?
Yeah, I guess what I'll say is I had an idea like what Stefan said, that if there was something particularly important at a city council, if we were meeting on Mondays, then somebody go and look after River Road's needs, at a city council meeting, just by a meeting by meeting or some sort of an arrangement, so that some person knowledgeable, if it was necessary about some particular issue, go testify or represent River Road, and instead of coming to a River Road meeting that night.
So I'll be honest here. I don't think it's our decision. It's the membership's decision. I think it would be, these are my personal opinions. If there would be value in doing a straw poll through the e-news to see where they lie. And I think it's been a while since we've talked to the park district about whether or not they have flexibility in our moving. It may be that if we decided to do it a quarter later, it might be more feasible, but I'd at least like to talk to them and see what their thoughts are about the possibility. If it's not possible, then I think it's a much heavier weight to lift. So I don't hear a groundswell of changing the meeting. Are you guys comfortable with me at least broaching the question with the Parks Department to see if it's feasible?
Are you talking about changing all of the meetings, or are you talking about changing the meeting as Susan suggested, that we keep Monday as it's been for a long time and that the community kind of learns, and change the board meeting?
Yes,
It's something.
I'd ask them about both. Brenda, you muted yourself.
Go for it.
I think we can move our board meeting around to be more flexible, but having one day a month, we can't go to a city council meeting. It keeps it consistent for the community.
Okay, but asking the question doesn't lock us into anything. We're just trying to determine the availability with the Parks Department.
It keeps us railing around in the conversation when I think the group is probably has a decision.
Okay, let me ask it this way. By show of hands, how many people are okay with me asking about both dates potentially moving? Okay, I see a clear majority. I will ask them. Thank you. The second part of that is, are we ready to go to hybrid meetings? As far as I know, the only people who are doing hybrid, I don't know for certain, but of the neighborhood associations I'm aware of, the only neighborhood that's still doing hybrid meetings is Jefferson West Side, and they're only doing it for certain months of the year. I don't understand why, but most neighborhood associations have gone to hybrid meetings. The city council is having hybrid meetings. The planning commission, I think, is still meeting without hybrid meetings. The city council, county commission are hybriding. What are your thoughts, folks? And we can either decide for ourselves or we can ask the membership as we did before. My recollection was that when we asked the membership before, which was a year ago, it was pretty even, but the small majority was to stay meeting only via Zoom. So your thoughts, guys? I'm sorry, people.
Could you call rounds on that, John, so that
Sure.
everybody gets to,
That's a good idea. Thank you. And we'll start with you, Brenda.
we just did a hybrid meeting here and we found it we really don't like it. And one of the issues that I hadn't thought about is how accessible Zoom is compared to in-person meetings. I would think having our business meetings continue and trying to really emphasize the fact that we have 2 or 3 different ways of interacting with the community in person for a one-time event. It's like the recycle, like showing up at a concert and having ourselves visible there, but do the Zoom meetings because they're so efficient and we can show what we're talking about so easily. So
Okay,
I would say stay with Zoom and do more, like a work party is going to be happening. That's an in-person meeting.
So the second part of the question is, should we ask the membership what they think?
I would say no, because that's our responsibility to make that recommendation. We're the city's back on medium. We're wearing masks in church right now around Zoom. I mean, around COVID.
Which, okay, I'm not going to comment. Jan?
I'm partial to Zoom also, but I think that it's a decent idea to ask membership what their thoughts are too.
Susan?
I always think it's a good idea to ask membership and get their feedback. We're supposed to represent them. If we don't hear from all of them, not just the people we know, we won't be successful. I personally am not a huge fan of hybrid meetings. I don't find them to be effective. Although I'm not exactly loving the idea of having to take a bunch of extra time to go to meetings and park and all of those things. It just takes extra time. So I personally prefer Zoom, but if we hear from the larger audience that they would prefer in person, then that's fine.
Dan?
Yeah, I'm splitting the difference here. I think the exec meetings should be done on Zoom because we don't need to have, us all together to get that accomplished. We know each other. We know what we need to talk about. I think there's some things that you can't do on Zoom that you can do in person, and that sense of community, which is what the basis of this entire organization is about, can only come through in-person interaction. And I know that we're still dealing with COVID, but we're under, I think, the 9th vaccine at this point. I think people have the ability to protect themselves as best they can, and the variants that we're seeing out there are not nearly as transmissible or as deadly as they have been in the past. And we need to start climbing out from underneath the rock and getting back to what we need to do. That's my thought.
Okay, thank you, Stefan.
I don't have strong feelings and I'm not going to be continuing to be on the board, so I'll pass.
Okay, Misty? I'll come
Oh,
back.
I'm here. I'm sorry. I'm here. I was just looking at the owl that are pretty cool that the city uses for their in-person meetings. They cost $1,000. And I know we don't have $1,000, but
The annex has that set up already. We don't need, and we can borrow the cities.
So Claire pointed out that the Park District has a far better system than the OWL, and we can, even if they didn't, we can check out the OWL from the city. So,
right. And so I feel I like the idea of having our board meetings over Zoom and moving to have public meetings, but also have the OWL or some kind of way of having having our public meetings on Zoom as well. Having both available.
so I don't know that I've asked everybody, do you support asking the membership what they think?
I believe we should have, yes, we should throw it out there for folks to chime in.
Dan, I forgot to ask you. Should we ask membership?
Yes.
Stefan?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
Should we ask the membership what they think?
Sure.
Okay, and Jan?
Yes.
Okay, I go last, I guess.
No, I go
Oh,
last.
that's right. Sorry, Claire, forgive me. I am ready to go to hybrid meetings, but I understand people's concern. I believe we should ask the membership. And I like the idea of hybridized or staying with Zoom for our board meetings. So if we do decide to move our meetings, we only have to deal with one. Okay, Claire.
I would like to go to hybrid meetings, but it's been my experience that to have an effective hybrid meeting that is inclusive, you need to have someone monitor the Zoom interaction so that that brings those people into the room, that remembers to call on them, that looks to see if anybody has their hand up that's not in, and so that's before I said I would like to go to hybrid if we could find someone who would or rotate around being the facilitator for Zoom participants. And yes, we should take it to the community.
Okay, so without taking you to a vote, it sounds like the majority of the board is certainly preferring to stay in Zoom for our board meetings. There's a minority of us who would rather go to a hybrid meeting, but nonetheless, I'm going to check with the Park District to see what the potential is to move our date for the previous question, and we'll ask the membership how they feel about going to hybrid for both the general and the board meetings separately. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, Brenda.
When you ask, will you please also ask if they would be fine with just going to full time? Just
Sure.
full in person?
Dan, we're getting child feedback.
Sorry.
It's okay. Sorry, Brenda, please continue.
Well, I just think it's important to add, either what we discovered is it either ought to be Zoom or not Zoom. It ought to be in person or not in person.
So you want to add the option of not hybrid? So ask people, do they prefer
Right.
hybrid,
Right.
full, or Zoom? Okay. I think that's reasonable. Unless anyone objects, that's what we'll ask. Okay? Okay, progress report on newsletter, Susan. And before you start, thank you, thank you, thank you.
And thank Charleston.
And Charles, thank you.
Could you please make me a presenter?
Sure. Okay, now I have to figure out how to do it. I think what I do is I
Go to participants and next to her name.
got it.
Name more.
Okay, you're a co-host, Susan.
Okay, thank you. All right, so hopefully everybody can see. Charles did a fabulous job. We were able to get it into 10 pages. Some of the things that she did, and Charles, please chime in. But some of the things she did based on feedback from others was she put in some information about what's inside, because some of the feedback we heard was that it needed to be more enticing to go inside. And so that's why we put that there. And I think that does a great job. You will see there's some yellow commentary on here. These are just some small typos. Instead of asking Charles to fix it in advance of this meeting, I thought we'd get any additional feedback that needed to happen. So we only have to make one big last change. This is our master recycling article. This is all in yellow because there's a different article, a different version I provided that has reference to the website, the web page that we're going to put up. And I know Claire, I know we're not talking about website, but hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we can all have a conversation and just find out what I need to do to get that up there to add to that one page per the conversation we had. Any questions on that? Okay, thanks. This is also the new city county representatives. We only received a bio from Ryan Seneca, whereas Lindsay Leach did give us a very specific letter about her appointment, etc. We were going to kind of make some changes. I mean, I was going to try to put something in saying what we asked them to provide. I showed it to a couple neighbors. They kind of felt it was a little weird. So what we're going to just do is say, welcome new city and county representatives. And then I'm recommending we just change this to Lane County Commissioner Ryan Seneca biography. And then here's letter of introduction from Lindsay. And these again were provided to us by them. So we cannot make any edits or anything. The only thing we did do is that now that Ryan is in office, he was willing to give us his email. He was not willing to give it to us prior to that. This is again continuation. John, you'll see this bullet is going to be happening, so don't worry. These are again small things. This is a lot of work to get in, so it's very normal and expected that you would have feedback and some changes. This is the dam safety and flood mapping article from Charlesy. One feedback, Charlesy, I did get when I shared this with somebody to read and give me feedback from an outsider was it was weird that these questions were asked, but they didn't feel like the answers were in the article. So that was just some feedback that they provided that we might want to consider dropping these. And then going down, this is something I just want to highlight to everybody. We are putting this in the newsletter. So there is a whole page dedicated to the election, telling what people need to do, telling them how to go about doing it. And then we also have a whole page that talks about the board, who we are, what we do. And this is all coming out of the minutes from the meetings, from the offsite that we had together. Then again, some feedback. Everybody's been talking a lot about we need more volunteers, and we know we do. So this was the idea that Charlesy had, which was to create some volunteer want ads. And I love this. I think these look really good. This is some content that Jan provided. And then we have some emergency preparedness. And all in all, I think these look really fabulous. And then we get down to our calendar. So, and just again, it's a couple minor edits that have already been noted. So this is currently in the RRCO folder in the newsletter. Let me see if I can show you this. Hold on, I'm going to stop sharing just so you can see exactly where this is on the site. If you look here, you will see now in the February 23rd newsletter, there is an article that says there's a folder that says draft content for review. I moved everything but this last document to the archive, so there is no confusion. Please, if there are any major edits or anything y'all feel that is really a huge red flag, you need to contact me ASAP, because Charles's done a ton of work on this and we've got to release this. Really, the time for major edits on commentary was before, when people were supposed to provide their feedback. So hopefully everything is good and we are going to proceed and get this out the door on time. Any questions, or Charles, see anything to add?
Thank you, Susan, for your edits. And I am so sorry. I thought I had gotten your latest version of the recycle correct.
worries. It's okay.
So if we could sometime very soon make an appointment so I can go, so I can know what you mean by all of those yellow highlights, so I can
Sure.
get them.
Sure,
Um,
I'll send you an email. We'll get something scheduled.
Okay, great.
Before Jan goes, first of all, Claire has dropped off. Unfortunately, I sent her a text asking her to come back. For whatever reason, she dropped off. And while I was doing that, I wasn't listening as carefully as I should, Susan. Is there a drop dead date for people to get to you?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Okay,
This is final edits. Should only be typos really, or minor adjustments. These are not huge changes. Jan?
Yeah, thanks, Susan and Chelsea. That's a lot of stuff there. I would like to do one little tiny item that I think could probably fit where and I like, the items about the Greenway and the permaculture stuff. We now have a URL to a really cool little documentary on the Greenway. It's a little bit upgraded from what we saw in last week's meeting. I'm just wondering if that might fit onto that little ad somewhere. If I send you that URL, and there was just a little caption that said, learn more about the Greenway, and have that URL so people who see that ad can see that they can find out more about the Greenway.
Part of what will make me know if that's doable, Jan, doesn't sound like a lot, but the highlights that Susan has on those want ads, I don't know if she wants some words removed or whatever. So I'll work, if you can send that, the new URL, I can work that in, but I can't answer it until I know more specifically what changes are going to be suggested.
Yeah, and
Jan,
Chelsea, you're welcome to take a look at the document. The comments are pretty clear. Most of it is just small typos.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I'll try my best, Jan.
I send you, Chelsea, the URL to that.
Jan, do you know how to make a tiny URL?
Do I
It's
know
a
how
way
to
of
what?
having a very short URL. There's a program that allows you to shorten the URL to be small. Talk to me tomorrow. Okay?
Okay, I'm gonna send the URL as it is, and then I'll talk with you, and if I can get something in there in time. So I'll do both.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, John.
Susan, anything else you need to know?
No, I think that'll do it, Chelsea, unless you've got anything else.
No, I mean, I really appreciate the help people have given on this, and my goal is to get it to the printer this week and to the city. And if it goes like it has the last two times, we should be okay. So don't have anything else I want to wish us smooth sailing. That's what I want. So thank you.
Thank you both very much. I know it's a ton of work and patience. So thank you for both.
Thank you.
Okay. Find new attendance taker after February meeting. You know the situation. Brenda, would you like to fill us in on a potential?
Yeah, there's a member at Riversong who she was at the meeting this month, a week ago, And she has done record keeping for us. Her name is Frances Spector. She's a retired doctor. And so she does, like, she's kept all of our consent decisions in a spreadsheet. So she would be able to do, and she used to do our minutes and, create the next quarter's worth of minutes and how to, so she knows how to do this. And it's probably easier for her to just listen to how to do it from Charlesy, but however we communicate to her. What I told her is that the job would be showing up at every meeting, because she has to take attendance here as well as at the regular meeting, and doing a little extra duty because she'd have to be alert and telling us who can vote in March. Does that cover it, Chelsea?
Yes, it sounded like
Probably.
Claire. Hello, it sounds like Claire has some ideas in mind that she wants to be the person to transition it, but I am very, very happy to do whatever is necessary to get her familiar with what I've done anyway. So
Maybe we can work so that after the newsletter's out your door,
yeah,
you can talk with her and she can watch what happens next week.
right, absolutely. But I want to defer to the chairs as to what protocols they want us to follow, because it is confidential information and I don't want to. Anyway, but yes, that's exciting. She sounds great. Thank you.
So any questions, concerns, thoughts from the rest of the board? Somebody has some background going.
Jan's watching.
Okay, yeah.
Do we need a motion?
If folks are comfortable
Yeah,
appointing
okay.
her, that would be fine. Brenda, would you like to make the motion?
So you do want a motion. I couldn't tell what you meant. Yeah, I would move that Frances Spector be our recorder. Is that what you call it, Charlesy? Our attendance recorder?
Sure. Chelsea, you're muted.
I don't really know what the title is.
Well, maybe we just
membership roster
manager.
manager. Yeah.
Okay. So the motion is to appoint, tell me again, I'm sorry. Brenda, you're muted. I'm sorry. Again. Still muted.
It's in the chat. Frances Spector.
Frances Spector, thank you. That reminds me, I have to capture the chat when we're done. Is there a second? I think
Second.
Susan was up a nanosecond ahead of Jan and before Dan. So Susan's the seconder. All those in favor, green or red dots, or all those voting? Well, yeah, just raise your hands. What the heck? Okay, it is unanimous. Thank her for us, Brenda, and
Yeah,
thank you
great.
for getting her. Okay. On to number 9. I think this is a quick one. I think I know the answer, but due to my failure to communicate well, the question before us is, does RRCO want to participate in the Multi-Neighborhood Association food drive on February the 11th, a Saturday? I suspect it's way too late, but I thought I'd throw it out there if anyone wants to make a motion. There were questions about, could we move it to another day? No, Food for Lane County has to go to a lot of work to set this up. And frankly, if it is on a Saturday, it becomes problematic for us too, because that's a time when the site we had normally used, Emerald Park, is active. They're not on Sundays. So we don't even know whether we could get the park. So unless someone makes a motion to do this at the last minute, we'll move on. Okay. Update on the Navigation Center. This is mine. For those of you who may not know what the Navigation Center is, the Navigation Center is a county and city operated center that brings in up to 75 people at a time for a live-in experience where they learn and work through the issues that they may have in order to get into long-term housing. The target audience is people that have been chronically homeless for a long period of time. The unique thing about this shelter is that it's what's sometimes called a wet bed shelter, which has connotations that aren't accurate. It means that they don't have to be free of drugs and alcohol when they enter the program. However, they're not allowed to use it on site. This is a program that's been very effective in many other cities in the country. We did not have one like that here in Eugene. I've been meeting with the county and city folks and the provider, the manager of the site. It's a for-profit corporation. They are up and running since September. They anticipated having 75 people on site now. They've already found housing for 14 of the people that have come through. It's my perception they're doing a great job, but whenever one of these comes into a community, there's a concern about having people who are homeless and potentially addicted in our neighborhood and the problems that they may have. So we're working through an agreement, a good neighbor agreement on what we can expect about how we should behave, how the client should behave, and how we'll interact with the agencies. I put the link to the folder that has that there. Also, there's a advisory committee that will have a representative from our neighborhood, theoretically a board member from SACO, 2 business people who are in the community who can give feedback about how things are going nearby. I've done an outreach to the folks we met with earlier in the year, and I'm pleased to report that the owner of Cal's Donuts, who lives immediately next door to the Navigation Center, is willing to consider serving. And also the gentleman who owns the car wash that's in the other corner of the Navigation Center is willing to serve as well. I think both of them are excellent candidates, but I just wanted to give you guys a chance, assuming that you had a chance to look through the Good Neighbor Agreement at its draft form. I will say that the important part is the appendix, which has not been developed yet. But I'm just asking you guys for feedback about whether or not you have any concerns, whether I'm moving in the right direction. We'll be bringing you the Good Neighbor Agreement for ratification once we think we know where it should be. Susan.
Can you just elaborate a little bit? This is a for-profit operation? That is a really big surprise to me.
Well, what happened was they sent out an RFP, and the problem for our nonprofits in the community is there's so many opportunities for them to work with safe sleeps, et cetera, et cetera. They weren't getting anyone interested in doing it. The only other one that, if I recall, even submitted a bid was St. Vinny's, and theirs was more expensive.
My question is, in the Good Neighbor Agreement, there seems to be a lot of effort that they want us to, as the neighbors, to put into doing some things. And I'm kind of wondering, if it's a for-profit organization and they're making profit off this, why are they not putting the funds in to do some of these things?
Okay, can you give, just for my information?
I don't remember the details. I read so many friggin' documents in the whole newsletter today, so I'm sorry, but I just remember looking through, and I know that there were actions that we needed to be taking in terms of going around and talking to neighbors and getting feedback and all those things that were happening. When it was a nonprofit, 100% a nonprofit organization, you know, I understand. when it starts becoming a for-profit, I just question, especially some of the for-profit organizations that are out there. I don't know this one, so I don't know enough. But
This one
okay,
is
that's all.
managed-
You answered my question.
They've managed several other sites around the country. But yeah, if you can point me to some areas where you're concerned, the advantage of us getting the feedback is that we get to see it. But yeah, I'll go back and take a look and see if I can find those places where you have concerns, Susan. Other thoughts? Oh, okay, so keep on keeping on, and I'll bring back to you what we have once we get a more final document. Okay, number 11, proposal, publish businesses of the month in the e-news, develop a policy for e-newsletters to the editor. Two different things here again. And Claire has not signed back in again, so I'll take her portion. But Dan, you got the first part about the business of the month. And you did a good job, in my opinion, of lining it out, so take it away.
Yeah, the basic nuance of it is we solved kind of two issues. One, we're trying to get more people to pay attention to the newsletter and come to our meetings and participate. And so we also want to drive business here locally. And so in my former life, I owned a drone photography company that did a lot of small business work. I don't imagine this is a huge task to take up. So I'm willing to have the board or whoever we decide select whatever businesses we want to highlight, and then go and interview the owner or the manager and some of the workers, and write up a little blurb for the newsletter, but then also create a small little commercial for them that would have kind of a fly-in to show people how to find the property or find the business, and then a little terrestrial-based photography that would highlight specials they have or whatever. The hope is that they would have a like a discount that they'd offer, like mention this ad and get 10% off, oil change, or the lunch special or whatever it is. And that way we're able to track on both sides. Are people using that coupon because they saw it either on our social media presence or newsletter or whatever, and as are the business owner. And so we can kind of create a River Road friendly business Rolodex, and drive people to our social media page, as well as our community webpage and our newsletter.
Thoughts for Dan? Jan?
Well, I think it's super important to support businesses on River Road. So I kind of like the idea, but I think it's also important. I think we'd agree not all businesses are created equal, and who and how is going to be the decision on what businesses would be receiving this very desirable attention, to the neighborhood. How do we figure who is going to be the business?
Yeah, the devil's in the details, right? So I think right out of the gate, adult themed businesses are out. So I mean, we can arguably talk about a bar like Good Times, for example, but I would probably argue dispensaries are out, adult bookstores, that kind of thing are out. At least that would be my initial suggestion, and then we can maybe form a committee that makes recommendations, and the board just approves it on whoever we're going to reach out to. But bear in mind that the list needs to be bigger than the space allotted, because we suggest Tom's Bakery doesn't mean that when I go down and talk to Tom or Sally or whomever, that they're going to want to be included or available or whatever. And I don't want to have to skip a month because we only put forth one name.
Dan, can I ask a question or
course.
make a comment? I really like the idea. I think it's great. We can somewhat control who gets to be the business of the month by who we choose to ask. But on the other hand, should the franchise owner of McDonald's see that we're doing this and comes in and says, I want to be on the list as well, I don't think we can say no.
Yeah, I mean, it's space available, right? So I mean, the idea is for small businesses, so we can set the criteria. Maybe we have we exclude chains, or we exclude revenue. I don't know how we necessarily do it. I'm happy to open to suggestions. The idea is to focus on the folks who are competing against McDonald's, because those are the folks that are having the hardest time. And to your point, I know you agree, but it's also if McDonald's shows up, how we say no. Well, if we set the criteria ahead of time that says, we're treating everyone equally under these parameters, then I think that we have some leeway to say no.
And I like your idea of no franchises. I think that might go a long way to assuage some folks' concerns. Susan,
If you look on Instagram, Whitaker Community Council does something pretty similar. So you might want to take a look there. I don't know if I'm looking now, and of course I can't find it. But they were doing a similar thing. Oh, I know what it was. They do the WIT Business Highlight. And so recently they did one on rooted space. You're not gonna be able to see that very well, but there you go. So I do think that there's already a precedent for this, and it maybe behoove us to talk to some of the other groups and see what feedback or what kind of guidelines they put in instead of reinventing the wheel. But I love the idea and would really appreciate the content for Instagram.
Video is always really helpful on social media. So,
Absolutely.
and I just because I have experience doing this with drones, your hit rate goes up pretty quick, especially if someone identifies what they're looking at in the video, like, oh, that's my neighborhood, not just a video. And I've never had somebody turn me down for a free video, so I'm pretty sure we'll get a good response.
Stefan,
Yeah, I think coming up with criteria is really problematic. I don't see why dispensaries should be excluded, or even adult businesses or franchises. I happen to frequently patronize the McDonald's up at Beltline. And if we're going to make this open to businesses, I think it should be open to all. You know, and again, people seem to have a bias in favor of small businesses, and I still point out that small businesses tend to pay low wages and have no benefits. I'm not particularly a fan of small businesses. So, you know, I think if it's going to be open to businesses in our neighborhood, it ought to be open to all businesses in our neighborhood.
okay, thank you, sir.
Well, again,
Brenda.
this is just a suggestion for me. So it doesn't matter what I shoot. If the will of the body is to include everyone, then great.
Brenda,
I think it's a great idea, and I had a conversation with the person who's the new owner of Clinks, is that right? The bike shop that's at McClure and River Road. Young guy, much younger than anyone else on the board except maybe Misty. And I was trying to recruit him to come to the board. Why would you come to a business meeting? And just that sort of our reaching out to businesses might begin to get some businesses coming to meetings, and it would be the beginning of changing who we are, like we said we wanted to do. I think it's a great plan.
others? Well, if I may summarize what I think I've heard, everybody is supportive of the idea the devil is in the details. There were some suggestions on whether to limit or not. Dan, would you be willing to come back next month with some potential criteria, and we can vote them up or down and then move forward?
Sure. And what I also was going to hope to do was, if we have a couple of businesses that we can build a portfolio of, that we know are friendly folks who, you know, would obviously say yes to, we want to help or whatever, I can go do those two in the next month and then bring the finished product back, so people are able to see this is what it would look like, and with some criteria of some sort, and then allow everyone to have a visual of it.
And if you wouldn't mind, Dan, if you could check with Whitaker and see what criteria they have, if
Sure.
any.
Yeah, that's fine.
Does that work for everybody? Bring it back next month with a little more detail? Sounds like a great idea.
Well, I think he said he's coming back next week with a couple of examples, not just details, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just wanted to
And
make
that's next
sure
month,
you
not
weren't-
next week.
Oh yeah, right.
Okay, good deal. Okay, this one should hopefully be easy too. Item number 12, remove membership in ENI and appoint representative. ENI is Eugene Neighbors, Inc., which is a 501c3 nonprofit that was formed back in 1999. Truth in Advertising, I was on the original group that formed that committee, that 501c3. It was formed because we were afraid that the city was about to pull our funding. And we wanted to have another way that potentially we could fund neighborhood associations. That didn't happen. But this 501c3 since then has served the role of providing a way for people who want to make donations to neighborhoods for specific projects and want to receive a nonprofit donation status. They can pass it through ENI for that purpose. And they do take a small cut for administration, which they tend to plow back into small grants as well. So we've been a member for decades. Our current representative is Dan. So I would like to entertain a motion to continue our membership. And unless someone else is dying to take it from Dan, make Dan our representative. Being a representative consists of attending one meeting a year where they feed you. So would someone like to make that motion?
A question.
Dan?
What
Yes.
is the cost of membership?
Free.
Oh, okay. We can afford it.
I should have said that. Thank you.
Oh, okay. I make a motion that we continue and continue the arrangement as it is.
With Dan as our representative.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Susan.
Mhm.
Discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Dan's a yes. Misty? Yes. Okay, it is unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and thank you, Dan. Okay, last item on the agenda is to plan future meetings. Of course, we obviously have to choose something for February at least. So I put in some bullet items, which I hope you've seen. Number one is the board elections are in March. Just a background. Oh, I have missed something. I was supposed to give an update on the neighborhood planning process. I'm sorry, we're not there yet. I see what I did wrong. I apologize. I put the title for one item under the title and then the action was for another. So forgive me. I guess we have one more item that I screwed up on the agenda, and that is the neighborhood planning process. And this is an FYI. Most of you attended the meeting back in November where city staff proposed basically to pull the plug on all the land use portions of the neighborhood plan. We went through a process where we expressed our opinions. A lot of us was dismay, but there has not been an opportunity for us to go back to staff and decide whether we agree with their proposal or not. A piece of information that I don't know that staff realized is the charter we wrote way back 5 years ago to do this neighborhood plan specifically states that there will be land use code for the corridor. So that charter was signed by our two neighborhoods, the Community Advisory Committee and the city and the county. So it's left unclear as to if the city says we don't want to do that, whether there's any opportunity to say we don't agree. But there was a lot of concern amongst, I think, everybody from the community that this was not what we wanted to have happen. On Thursday, we had another meeting with the principal planning staff and 4 of the people who were on the Community Advisory Committee, myself and Louisa DeHeer from our neighborhood, Kate Purley from Santa Clara, and Jerry Finnegan from Santa Clara. And the meeting ostensibly was to plan the outreach for getting feedback from the neighborhood about the plan so they could move forward, get it approved and move on. What they heard from the 4 of us was you're proposing to take away all the land use. That doesn't seem acceptable to us. So the land use code. So what we heard from staff is that they are willing to entertain some minor changes in code in order to give us half a loaf, I guess. we're having a meeting tomorrow of the CAC. I think, Susan, will you be there? Yeah, where we will discuss the proposal and the counter proposal, and we'll see where we go from there. But right now, all is not happy in Mudville. So there's where we're at. I'm sure there are going to be questions or concerns. The one thing I would ask you guys to do, I'm sorry, Brenda, let me add one more thing, is that if there were to be minor code things, what would that look like? In my opinion, one of the things I'm going to argue for is for the city to at least have us meet with the, and here we're going to go into the weeds, I'm sorry, but meet with the parking people to find out how much it would cost to instill some sort of a, or institute some sort of a parking program for our neighborhood. Because what you may not realize is that the state has new regulations that say that there can be no minimum parking requirements for any lot that's within half a mile of a transit stop, which basically covers half of our neighborhood. So in the future, potentially a developer can build a high rise with housing and have no parking spaces. And we don't have the capacity to absorb that on our county streets. The county can't administer parking. They refuse to, and we need some kind of an understanding of how we can deal with that. The other one is that I would suggest that we look at having 2 or 3 nodes of more intense development, maybe one where the Teen Challenge Center is, has a new name, I've forgotten it. And the other would be where Good Times is, and then potentially up in Santa Clara. So those are thoughts, but I'm sure you have your own. So I'll stop talking now and please tell me what you think. Are we going in the right direction? Brenda?
The code you're talking about that you're currently in conversation with is not the Willamette Greenway code that we were talking about a week ago, correct?
Not exactly.
It's the code for building outside of the Greenway.
No, what was originally proposed is there would be 2 special area zones. One would be along River Road for the purpose of densification. And the other would be a special area zone that would deal with our concerns for the Greenway. What city staff is now saying is, well, we've got this other process that has the word Greenway in it, so why don't you just do it there? Well, part of the challenge is that the clear and objective standards for the Greenway are there to deal with needed housing. And it doesn't have anything to do with commercial properties. And there are commercial properties in the Greenway. So even their proposal has fatal flaws. But I understand the confusion. Does that help, Brenda?
Most of the Greenway is not along River Road, and your examples were along River Road. That's
No,
why
there were 2 special area zones, one for River Road and one for the Greenway.
Okay.
They're proposing to drop the special area zone for River Road and basically drop the special area zone for the Greenway, and instead have us engage in a process that has the word Greenway in it, but it really doesn't meet our needs.
Okay.
And there's the rub. Do you need more information? Susan, do you want to chime in?
No, I'm still going through all the documents. I mean, I've got some high level opinions and the similar concerns around zoning that you've heard from me. I also am worried about the setbacks again along the road and the transition to housing. Those are the ones that I am concerned about.
If there was a previous agreement that land use would be included, how can the city get away from following through on that. I mean,
It's a
I don't
darn
think
good-
I mean, why should we surrender on that?
It's a good question. It's complex, as you can imagine. We've been doing this for 5 years, Stefan. There are members of the CAC that are ready to take whatever they can get and walk away. The county's role in all this is fairly minor. They'll go with whatever the city says. If we were to push back on that, the decider would probably be the city council. And my understanding is, and this is, I think, a fairly accurate thing, but it's not official, that the planning department's being asked to cut their budget 5 to 10% by the city council or by the city manager, but essentially the city council. And this is one of the ways they propose to cut. So those are all discussions we'll have tomorrow, Stefan, but I'll be happy to carry your concern. Jan?
Yeah, I can follow some of that. I don't get it all, but in your opinion, John, how big of a hit is this on River Road and the efforts through the neighborhood plan that there were a lot of meetings and a lot of people shared their ideas, and I think there was some hope that something good was going to come out of this. And it would be maybe something like the sewer wars of the early 90s. And it's another black eye with the city. How big of a hit would River Road's interests be victim to if the city does what they say they're going to do? Is this a disaster? Is it a letdown? Is it more psychological, or is this going to impact River Road, the neighborhood, and make this an uglier place to live? And what's your thought?
And that there's a lot in that question that I'll try to answer succinctly. Yes, we all had hopes that we'd be able to transition our neighborhood to more of a 20-minute neighborhood, that we would have more of the kinds of businesses that we want to shop at, like grocery stores or wherever, and we were hoping that this transformation would make that possible. As we work through developing the code, mostly given to us by a consultant, we kept asking the city, can you actually make this work on River Road? And their first attempt to see whether it would work on River Road was to take the proposed code and see whether it worked on other developments that have already been done in another part of the city. And that was their response. Those two projects could be built, so it must be okay. Well, no, there's a different situation here in River Road. We have smaller lots because they took away the front of most of our businesses to widen River Road. So that didn't really answer that question. So we asked them again, can it work in River Road? So they hired another consultant who went out and looked at two of the larger lots inside the neighborhood and said, hey, it works there, it must be okay. So whether it's a failure of them to answer our questions or whether they really didn't want to answer our questions, there are some flaws in the code as it's currently proposed, and it won't work for a lot of those lots. So losing something that won't necessarily work without a lot of work is one way of answering that. It's not the will is not there from the city to make it perfect, and it never would be perfect, but good enough for us to be happy. On the other hand, where was I going with this? The potential is there that we will have C2 properties along River Road to be developed to be 120 feet tall. So yeah, I think there is a middle ground in between. Whether we can successfully negotiate with that with the city, I don't know. Part of the approval, the process for this plan is that sometime in the near future, and I guess they're assuming that we'll get there by April. I don't think we will get there, but we as a board have a vote on whether we support the plan as drafted. So keep that in mind as well. So The code for the road, River Road, is got flaws. Can we get them all fixed? No. Can we get something out of it? I think we can. The part on the Greenway is totally unclear to me on what we're gonna do. So I can't answer that question because there's no process for me to respond to. Does that muddy it even more, Jan?
No, that's helpful. And again, John, I appreciate your doing what you can to keep up with this stuff. It's a moving target. I can tell, you know.
Well, and to be fair to the planning department, it has been 5 years. 2 of those years were lost to COVID. We don't have a principal planner involved with this process anymore because the 3 who were there before quit. Now, whether that's because they weren't happy with the staff, they weren't happy with us, or they had better opportunities, I can't tell you. So
No.
it's had its problems. Misty.
I'm having a hard time following all of this, but is the major concern here a lack of parking? I'm sorry if I missed something completely, but it sounds like we are concerned about further developments not having enough parking. Is that?
That is one of the issues, Misty. And our request of the planning department was to just sit us down with the parking director and just estimate what it would cost the city to provide some sort of a parking program for those areas that would be impacted by further development. They refused to even do that.
Yeah, from my involvement with other groups, it kind of seems to me that developers and governments and all of that are wanting to move away from using land for parking anymore. So, I mean, I don't know if they're just kind of giving us the, you know, the go around because that's the actual goal, is to move people out of cars and into buses and other modes of transportation and not dedicate it to parking anymore. That's
Well,
just observation that I've been
No,
making.
and I agree with you entirely. And frankly, I support that objective. But the problem is that people are not ready to all get on buses or take Ubers, I guess, for this foreseeable future. We have to find a way to transition. And River Road is unique in that if people illegally park in the rest of the city, there is a way to deal with it. There is no way to deal with that in our neighborhood. So if we have more development that has less parking, we're going to have a bigger problem and no way to deal with it. Until we get to that nirvana when everybody doesn't need a car, but it's not now. Anyhow,
Thank you.
thank you. It's frustrating. Any further thoughts or advice for us?
It sounds to me, John, like it would be helpful for you to really focus on at this meeting tomorrow, really on the River Road development section and not try to bring the Greenway into that to complicate it, so that you can get, you know, so that you're focused on getting a few commitments about coding the building that we're going to see off of River Road.
Okay, I will tell you that there are other people in the community who would flip that perception, but thank you. Okay, well, thank you for that. Finally, future meetings. Board elections in March, we're going to be asked theoretically to provide a recommendation by April. Theoretically, we should talk to our neighbors before we do that. County Commissioner Ryan Seneca has offered to introduce himself and talk with us at a general meeting sometime in the future. David Montez, who's the project director for the navigation centers, has offered to come to talk to us, and Beyond Toxis would like to discuss their public health overlay zone. Are there other potential topics that we should consider? Jan.
Yeah, just as something that might fit in at some point. I know that a couple of years ago, there was a presentation that Sarah Maisie made. She had gone to Europe and gone to Copenhagen and Amsterdam and there was a little show and tell about what those cities are doing in terms of alternatives to cars. I would be glad to do anything that fits at whatever date was appropriate with similar places I went to when I was in Europe that I would really like for people to have an idea that not the whole world lives like this. And it's not to suggest that these places in Europe are perfect, but some of these locations are public spaces, promenades, piazzas, placas, different places I went all over Europe are just so beautiful. And we just hardly have anything. Eugene can't even manage 2 blocks downtown without cars, you know. But I would love to show some pictures that might give people some thought that, wow, you know, maybe
So Jan, it's almost 9 o'clock. Can I summarize that as Sarah and you doing a biking program and public spaces in Europe?
yeah, public places, more even public places, even than just biking, public places,
Both of
car-free
those, okay.
areas. Yeah.
Thank you, Jan. Susan,
Yes, I would love to be able to do something regarding the recycling and helping people understand
2, 4, and 5 collection and the requirements for that prior to the April 16th event. Ideally, it would be great to do that in March. I realize that that's probably not going to happen because of voting. I don't know how we do all of that, but it is something that I would love to be able to do, and I can easily get a presentation together.
thank you, Susan.
Mhm.
Stefan,
Yes, my understanding is that Ryan Senega and the other new commissioner are trying to call into question the whole redistricting. So if there's a possibility that he's not going to be our county commissioner, I'm not really interested in hearing from him. So I think that should be put way on the back burner.
okay, Misty,
Okay. I went to my first active transportation committee meeting, and they have a plan called Envisioning Our Transportation Future. And they will be going around to different organizations and neighborhood organizations starting sometime in March. And they're only going to be doing a little outreach, and I would like us to have, I would like for them to come and present to our members.
planning
So-
transportation futures.
It's called Envisioning Our Transportation Future. If I can show a quick,
I don't think we have time, but when would we
Okay.
do it? When would we do it, do you think?
they're gonna start doing the outreach in March. So I'm hoping that they can come and do their presentation for our March meeting.
Okay, do you know when they will finish?
They're gonna try to do it all in, I'm looking at their timeline here. Yeah, March and April.
Okay.
I'll get more information, but I just kind of, I wanted to put that on either March or April agenda.
Okay, got it.
Placeholder. Thank you.
So for once, we have a plethora of options. So let's look to, it looks like we need more information before deciding on March. Does anyone have a suggestion on what we should do for February? So the ones that we have, I'm noticing folks saying no. Ryan Senega, County Commissioner, the River Road Navigation Center, that might be appropriate because we're getting close to the end of the time where we're likely to be developing our good neighbor agreement. Beyond toxics, and then biking and public spaces in Europe. Shall we do a show of hands for February? Anyone have another thought of how we could do this? Susan,
I'm sorry, I missed the list. probably better than, can we do this in email? Is this one of those ones that we can do in email? To can just confirm of the items that we have, which, because I'd love to understand. I mean, I'm happy to do February if I have to for recycling, but doing it in March makes more sense.
Okay, as long as we can do it in the next few days, because we have to line up people for the meeting. So what I can do is I've got 8 bullet points, some of which are not necessarily February items, and I'll send those out and ask folks to check the ones they think are worth doing, and hopefully we'll have a clear trend to go for the program. I suspect we could do 2 of these.
John, what about a doodle poll?
That would be okay too.
What is Beyond Toxics wanting to talk about? Do you know?
Yes, their public health overlay zone.
Ah, well, that goes very well with our neighborhood planning and zoning and all that.
If the city's willing to even talk, well, I guess they're talking about it at the council level. Okay, I will flesh these out a little bit more and get them to you tomorrow in a poll, either via Doodle or Google Forms. Get your feedback and hopefully we'll have a consensus of what we want to do. Does that work for folks?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for those great suggestions. Okay, that's the end of the agenda as I see it. Only 19 minutes over.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Okay, so John saved the chat.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. That was a lot to do.
Yeah,
Thanks.
everyone.
Good job, John. Good job,
Good day.
everybody. Good job,
Take
Susan,
care.
Chelsea and Stefan.
Thank you, everybody.